Hi, my name is Jessica and I have been a retirement coach for quite a few years now. And I want to give you a short overview of what I feel is important in retirement. Now, this is a quick video. I'm going to shoot through some slides, but there's a longer recording if you'd like to watch it. But this is to give you a taster of what I like to think about the most important parts about retirement. So firstly, retirement, it can be a loss, it can be a gain, and it's totally your choice. And it's about never being at the mercy of it, but choosing how you want to be and how you want your retirement to look and feel like. There are 4 stages of retirement, according to Riley Moynes, who did a TED Talk. And the first stage is vacation. Yippee, wonderful, don't have to get out of bed, I can do anything I want. And then that can end pretty quickly into, who am I? What am I doing? How am I going to fill all these empty hours in these days? And that very quickly, if you're not careful, goes into panic. I'll just go and get another job. I'll just fill the hours without any really conscious forethought. And then there's the retirement, the reinvention of you, who you want to be. And that bit is the real key part of understanding about your identity, your purpose, and your usefulness. And with planning, and I'm a great one about planning, you can skip the loss and the panic, and you can go straight from vacation to reinvention. And that is a much better way forward. So the 3-sided coin of retirement. There's the freedom seekers, the yippee, I can't wait to retire, been looking forward to it forever. Interestingly, often those hit the loss because they haven't done the planning, they've just done the looking forward to. Then there's the daunted, which is, I'm going to put it off. I'm not going to retire for a few years. I'm not sure what I want to do. And so they keep putting retirement off, which is a great shame because it's a great third chapter in life. And then there's the being retired. It's happened to them out of their control. Either their company retires them or they get ill and they have to retire. And that doesn't feel good either. So you have a triple loss when you retire if you haven't planned properly. The first is your identity. And it's like, I used to be an X, so who am I now? And people have asked you for years, what do you do? That's the first question when they meet you. What do you do? You haven't got an answer for that anymore. And the workplace has given you that identity. And it's also probably given you a purpose for why you get out of bed in the morning, but also maybe a greater purpose in what you do in your job. And suddenly that goes. And the feeling of usefulness can go because you're no longer contributing, you're no longer needed. You know, I remember my brother saying, nobody calls me anymore. And he was feeling really lost about that. So that's another thing to have a look at. There's an inner impact to retiring. It can lead to depression, it can lead to isolation and mental and physical health decline if you haven't got it planned. I can't say this big enough. You have to plan for what you want. Otherwise, these 3 things can hit you with a double whammy or a triple whammy. So you need interaction, you need purpose, and you need identity to feel healthy. And you need to allow time for your feelings because there's a grief process. You have lost something huge, a part of you. And if you don't deal with that, that's always going to be in the background. And it's really important to deal with the grief that you might be feeling for actually when you retire. We came up with this phrase on a retreat that I did with a client of what would it look and feel like to live a bloody wonderful life. And that was so key because he was so serious and he'd never given himself permission to enjoy life fully. And so we put aside all the worthy stuff he thought he had to do and really focused on fun. And he just came alive. And so this is a question that I always ask people every time I work with them. What would it look and feel like to lead a bloody wonderful life? This is the actual thing that's most important in the planning. It's reinvention, your roadmap. You have to reframe your identity from what you were to what you feel you want to move into. I had a client who was an entrepreneur and he really missed solving problems. So he became the fixer for new and young businesses. He reframed his identity into something that gave him a feeling of passion. And you have to find ways to contribute, whether it's big and lofty or whether it's small within the family or within your community. Contribution is key. It's a real human need. and a purpose that ties in with that contribution. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't even have to be recognized by anyone else but you, but purpose is important. And staying connected. You were around lots of people probably when you were working or talking to lots of people, and you can feel quite isolated. So making sure you're connected is another really key part of it. So the key to happiness is 1, planning. I think I might have mentioned that. Perspective, looking at yourself from a different angle and being forward focused. Forget the past, move on from the past, bring the bits you wanted to bring about you and move on. It can be one of the greatest times in your life, but you have to plan for it, and then you can have more time to do all the things you love to do. So grab it with both hands. I mean, this is the next chapter of your life, and it needs to be amazing and great. And making it the newest, best chapter in your life is most important. And I might have mentioned this before, it takes planning. So make it the cherry on top. And if this has inspired you, there's a longer presentation that goes into more details, which you'll see in the link with this post. But also in the next slide, there is a link where you could book a free discovery session to have a chat with me about your retirement and see if I can help you at all. I have both the retreats, Retire Happily and Retire Happily Together. And I also have a shorter 6-hour coaching program, virtual coaching program, to make sure that you get the best out of it because you've worked hard for it. You deserve it. So I hope to speak to you soon.